right. It's 2 minutes past the hour. We're going to be starting now. Thanks everybody for coming in. I see some people are still coming in, but they got to get started if we want to go through all this wonderful content. Thanks for being here for usecure launch webinar, so called Go Beyond Security Awareness Training. I am your host, Guillaume Boisvert. I'm the Director of Product Innovation at Sherweb. I'm joined by Matthias Zoomer from usecure. Obviously, he's the star of this webinar. I'm just here for the entertainment. Today, we'll be talking about human risk management. As you saw, the title of the webinar said Security Awareness Training. Here, we're talking about human risk management. Well, that is a big part of what we'll be answering today. What is the difference between the two? How are they related? Why is it important for MSPs to know? Then we'll get specifically into usecure itself. Matthias is going to give us a demo of the product, which is always great. Then I'm going to close this session out by talking about how you can acquire usecure at Sherweb and why you should do so. If you have any questions, there is a question box in the application software that we're using today. So feel encouraged to use it. We may answer your question as we're going. We may keep it to the end for the Q&A section. If we can't answer your question, because sometimes we have too many or sometimes they're too specific, we'll come back to you privately outside of the time of the webinar. So whatever, we'll give you an answer. Also, the webinar is recorded, so if you have to leave or something, don't worry too much about it. You'll be getting a copy usually in 24 to 48 hours after the end of the webinar. We'll be sending you the link to the presentation and the video itself. Let's get started. So, simple question, like sometimes it's good to keep things simple, stay at the basis. What is human risk management? And I'm going to bring in Matthias into the conversation. Our audience is all MSP. They're a service provider. They know their business. I think by this time, and I don't know if you'll agree, but I think most of them are aware of what security awareness training is. They might even have a solution that they're using. They may not yet have chosen one. But when we talk to usecure, you guys are very focused on human risk management rather than on simply security awareness training. Can you give us a sense of, like, and it says here, like, when it's one of the items, like the broader scope, but can you tell us about that broader scope? Like, why are we talking human risk management more than about security awareness training when we're talking about usecure?
Yeah, of course. And hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me on today. Clearly, security awareness training, as you said, most people on this call are aware with it, is one of the fundamentals, right? Including, just having, typically it's in a combo, right? So security awareness training, most people are familiar with. There's lots of great solutions out there. There's different approaches to it, but it doesn't just end with educating your end users, right? There's another component to it that oftentimes is accompanied with security awareness training, which is phishing simulations, fake phishing simulations, right? And those together are typically the star of the show and the bread and butter when it comes to that topic of security awareness. Now, with human risk management, we think there are more components to it than simply sending out security awareness trainings and then following up with phishing campaigns. Both are great, both are necessary, but there's just more to that in general, right? Do you want me to go into a little more of what components or?
Yeah, so what are the key differences? So let me ask you a two-pronged question. Like the first one, from conversation that I've had with you and research on the subject, like I think one of the key aspects of how to think about it differently is to make sure to understand the why. So why did we start doing security awareness training? Why are we doing phishing simulation? Like what business goal are we trying to accomplish? And then, yes, like if you can get into like what makes it sort of a better fit to those goals, to think about it in terms of human risk management instead of simply a check mark around security awareness training.
Sure. Yeah, I think the why is an easy one. I think cyber threats and attacks, cyber criminality, I think accounts for, is if you put it all together, all the damage that's being done, all the ransomwares, it's a massive, massive industry. I think it's, if you compare it to the world's largest economies, right, the U.S. and China, I think it would come in number 3. So we also know that the majority of the times humans are behind or are the reason for the breaches, right? Humans are still the greatest risk. About 80 to 90% of attacks happen through human error. It's not this sophisticated like we see in the movies, right? A hacker getting into a system by itself just with software and then robbing a bank or something. It's typically social engineering, phishing emails, and those are becoming more and more sophisticated. And so security awareness training clearly came out of that and is extremely important, right? It started out, I don't know, 25 years ago, and it was very benign. An email sent, hey, somebody sent me money, I need this, right? But it's come a long way. And therefore there's fortunately and unfortunately certainly still a major need for education of the end users. And it's always good to remember, we work in the industry. MSPs are dealing with cybersecurity day in and day out. But there's a lot of end users who don't, right? They barely know how to use their phone and email and whatnot. And so you always have to think of one of your relatives, right? An aunt, or I think of my parents or something, right? Like it's a massive industry because there's lots of vulnerabilities. And so tying that in, right, security awareness training, that's why it exists, that's why it's necessary. The fake phishing campaigns is a part of the security awareness training because it gives you great insights, and you as an MSP then can show to your customers where there is vulnerabilities. And to tie it into a broader human risk management factor, I would say that where do hackers or attackers oftentimes get information on us, right? There's the dark web, for example, and that's one of the components that we offer is dark web monitoring. Having information that's out there that hackers or attackers then can use to build, targeted campaigns. Again, having insight to breaches, you as the MSP or MSP in general then can act on that and can be proactive. Instead of being more reactive, something happened, now we need to train somebody. And then also compliance is becoming more and more of a factor, and you will learn later that we have a policy management aspect to it too that will just help companies to roll out guidelines for their own staff, for example, and that's a way to keep them all in line with company policy, and then auditors, for example, ISO 27001, so on and so forth.
What would you say is the most common pitfall, like of the methodology that you've seen MSP use around security awareness training and human risk management? Like, what kind of things would you point out? Not necessarily like, oh, you're doing wrong, but rather the pitfalls, like things to watch out for, things to improve on, like the most significant ones, let's say.
Sure. First, I want to say any training is better than no training. So whatever MSPs do today, even if it's coming up with a PowerPoint presentation and putting that in front of their customers every 6 months or a year, is better than not doing anything at all. But I think that's one of those things, having trainings that are not frequent, right? Once a year, a 2-hour training that people have a hard time sitting through and retaining is one aspect. And having, so the remedy here is to have it bite-sized and engaging, right? And reinforcing it on a regular basis. Another one is oftentimes we see the same training given to everybody in the company, right? I'll talk later a little bit more about the personalization of things, right? Each human has their strengths and weaknesses. Each person has their strengths and weaknesses. So it would be good to address that right from the beginning. Otherwise, we risk, having an area unaddressed, a weakness unaddressed, for weeks or months. And yeah, so essentially, not doing it on a regular basis. And then from an MSP view, if you have something that is very laborsome, sending out security awareness training that you have to send out manually, that's another component. I think if you can automate it, have less admin time with it, but have it tailored to your end users, I think that's a major win. And a pitfall so far, I think, what we've seen.
Yeah, a combination of the two, of high quality product and low maintenance, low implementation cost, things like that, is a bit of the unicorn that people are chasing. Because I feel like I've seen a lot of new partners adopt security awareness programs, but it feels like as long as it doesn't take them any effort, they almost like disregard the product. They don't really care, like as long as it's no effort. But I think there has to be a bit of a balance there. Like it has to be simple, but it has to be high quality. So I'm curious to see what usecure's answer to that is. Speaking of which, let me pass it over to you. Like, tell us more about usecure. So understanding that we need to go a little bit further than security awareness training, understanding that it needs to be personalized and it needs to be MSP friendly in how it operates. Tell us more about usecure.
I'd be glad to. Yeah, thank you. So essentially, to build on what we just talked about a little bit, usecure is all about identifying gaps in employee cyber resilience and then giving you the tools to minimize those gaps. So with usecure, we offer a proactive approach to cybersecurity by providing a multi-tenant automated platform that helps MSPs identify and measure and address human risks through key 4 modules, right? All 4 modules that I'm going to talk about are part of the core usecure product SKU and can be left fully automated and left alone. So the first module I want to address is ULearn. ULearn is our security awareness and compliance training program. Now, like we said, I appreciate that most people on this call have probably looked at security awareness training before, but as you might have experienced, the issue with traditional training is often that it's a one-size-fits-all approach, or you yourself have to decide what courses to send out next, etc. So again, our approach is designed to mitigate that by first sending a gap analysis to each user to assess their strengths and weaknesses. So what that means is each employee will receive the core set of training courses in the order that addresses their greatest weakness first. Now, as for our courses, they're all made in-house. They are short and engaging with recurring characters. And by the way, they are delivered via email, so there's no need to log in or anything. Makes it super easy for the end user as well. The next module is UPhish, which is our phishing simulation tool. Again, globally, there are roughly 3.5 billion phishing emails sent out every single day. So naturally, phishing attacks are still the most common threat vector, and they are still the headline when people think of security awareness, right? So being able to send fake phishing attacks to your clients in a safe environment and then identify the users that are most vulnerable will give you good data and insights. It gives you basically actionable next steps and allows you to demonstrate the risk to your clients while training users in spotting red flags. So this is essentially what we just talked about in terms of the standard bread and butter of security awareness training today. And I should mention at this point, I know we have MSP on this call from the US and from Canada. So all of our courses, as well as our phishing templates, and then also the policy aspect of things are available in English and in French. With templates, there's even, they're regionalized as well. So they will be, for the French Canadian templates, there'll be, businesses that are specific to Quebec, for example, like banks and so on and so forth. All right, so security awareness training and phishing campaigns, right? Everybody's very familiar with that. So, but we term usecure human risk management, and the reason behind that is that we go beyond the traditional security awareness training and simulated phishing attacks. cyber awareness is such a comprehensive area that we need to monitor and address in order to minimize risks. So the third module I'd like to talk about is ubreach, which is also included, as the other ones, and it's our dark web monitoring tool. So we've seen that phishing attacks are getting more and more sophisticated and personalized, and the dark web is a major factor behind that, right? So a huge amount of data that's out there on each one of us gives attackers a massive advantage. And rather than sending generic attacks like it used to be in the past, they can really build a profile on us, on what services we use, passwords we set, physical addresses, et cetera, et cetera. And ubreach monitors the dark web for that. So from the moment users get pulled in, we scan every staff member's email address and show you if we found them in public databases. So you can then use this breach data and actively minimize risks before an attacker uses it against one of your clients. And moving on to the fourth module is uPolicy, which is our document management tool. Like I said a little bit before, it's becoming increasingly important that your clients have different policies in place around things like, working remotely, correct email usage, or secure passwords, right? And it's also becoming more important that you can audit a client and show an external body that they have certain policies in place and that people have agreed to them as well. So uPolicy allows you to send documents to your clients, and the platform will track when they view them and when they sign them, right? And all of that then is also visible in reports later on to like the human risk analytics. Guillaume, if you can go to the next slide.
Just before we move on to the next slide, I want to sort of underline something you just said. Like uPolicy to me is the most original component of usecure, like one of the value-added thing that you wouldn't find in most other solutions. The ones that I've looked at least don't have anything comparable. We at Sherweb have communicated this message a lot to our partners, and we've worked with them on the fact that policy can help drive security behavior. So like we as MSPs, as tech people, we think of technology as the solution to security always. And human risk management is kind of that other side of it. And to me, policy is sort of a very underrated way of driving behavior. So having stated goals, stated behavior, acceptable behaviors, and things like that you can establish with your clients is a great way to have those security conversations. So how do you expect your clients to act? Like what outcome do you expect will help to dictate what technical means you need to put into place, as well as process and tools you need to put into place to meet that client requirement. But it helps to sort of make it a stated thing instead of a assumed thing. And that's what you want with security. Like you want it to be obvious, you want it to be talked about, you want it to be official. So I really like uPolicy as part of a human risk management sort of package. I think that's super positive. The other thing is you mentioned it a couple of times. I'll say it again. These 4 things are not 4 products. They're 4 major features or component of one product that you buy, and we'll get to pricing and thing. I don't think that's the main selling point, but what I mean is that usecure doesn't try to make you buy a bunch of other stuff. Like it's all part of the product for like if you purchase usecure, you'll get advantage of all those things. So I wanted to make sure that was super clear.
That's correct. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that. And you can toggle certain things off and then upsell components, but you basically for those 4 you pay that one price, all included for you in that. And thanks for highlighting the policy aspect of things. That was a great summary. All right, so on to the next component of why usecure, and basically it says it there in big letters. It's built for MSPs, and we pride ourselves that we specifically built it for MSPs, right? So we built this product ourselves in-house. We have our own in-house development and content teams. Being for MSPs, we certainly also have an NFR. So if you're interested, simply reach out to your account manager or check it out in the Sherweb marketplace. I'm sure Guillaume will talk about that later as well. Now, we do know when scoping out a product, there's always at least 2 components of major importance for MSPs, right? Whether the solution addresses a specific need in your stack but then also how much time and effort it will require to deploy and manage it effectively. So we focused on fast deployment, effortless management, and scalability while delivering on managing human risk. So I'll go into a brief demo here in a minute, but before I do that, I in the demo, can you show a little more and give you visuals on all that? But just would like to highlight some key components here for you. So starting with configuration, you can white label almost every component of the product on a global level and customize the platform, reports, and client emails with your MSP branding. usecure can be entirely erased. Multi-tenancy, obviously, it's an absolute must. And as you know, it allows you to easily manage multiple customers from a single dashboard. Now, we know with phishing simulations specifically, deliverability is often a sticking point. So allow listing can be really time consuming and isn't always successful. Message injection, on the other hand, will make phishing deliverability incredibly easy for you. You simply sign in with your Microsoft or Google admin credentials and we'll be able to inject our phishing attacks without you needing to do any allow listing straight into the end users' inboxes. In terms of deployment, like I said before, one of the challenges MSPs face is the time it takes to onboard and manage new products. That's why we've made the process as easy and seamless as possible. You can essentially fully onboard a new customer in around 15 to 20 minutes, and then let automation take over, and in the process, minimizing the need for ongoing manual input. Daily user syncs are a big one. So through our M365 and Google Workspace integrations, they will automatically pull in new users and or mark users that have left the company as inactive. So removing the burden of manual user management from you. And again, I'll say this a few more times, but automation is at the heart of our platform, right? So from user management to training deployment, phishing simulations, policy distribution, as well as reporting, everything can run on autopilot. And the outcome is saving you time and effort while scaling efficiently. And through our reporting feature, you'll have access to risk analytics that will give you actionable data by tracking individual and organizational risk levels and trends. It will also help ensure your clients' adherence to key security standards. Again, coming back to the compliance piece with policy and reports there. You also have the option to create and send out 2 different kinds of reports that can be used as prospecting tools for any customers you might have on a 14-day trial. Okay. And then finally, another pain point when looking at solutions is scalability. To that extent, we offer flexible licensing, meaning all licensing is done on a month-to-month basis with no minimums or long-term commitments. And again, the automatic user sync function is a huge time saver as it requires minimal admin time to import new users and have them become part of the automation process. And it saves you from getting overcharged when a client's employee leaves, for example, because there's nothing you have to do. The sync will take care of it itself. All right. If we can go into the demo now, if you can hand me over sharing privileges. Perfect. Thank you.
Good to go.
Awesome. Let me make sure.
Yep, that's good.
Do we see it? That's it. Okay. All right. Perfect. Great. All right. So this is going to be a high-level overview of a demo. So naturally, I won't be able to explore things in the in too much depth, right? But instead, I'm going to focus on how we see our partners typically utilize the platform and some of our key USPs. So as I said before, it's a multi-tenant platform. Right now, your view is of what you would see as an MSP if you are in your NFR. So you have your customers here, but your own management would happen up here. So you could easily import users for your own free NFR, right? And then for the multi-tenancy aspect, use service is where you would be able to then go back and look at your customers. it is just to show you how easy it is to go in and out. You don't have to log in, relog in. You can, again, white label, customize it per customer. And then if you hover over your name, you get back into your MSP view and the NFR. Now, the first step is creating a customer. Here's how easy it is. Create customer, you put in the company name here, you set the preferred languages, and you can choose if you want this customer on a free 14-day trial, which then would auto-convert after 14 days or not, entirely up to you. Put in the domain, hit create customer, and you're done. It's that easy. Customer will pop up here. Now, this customer is created, has 0 users. There's no charge for this, right? Charging will only start as you import new users. So let me go into an account that is populated already. Perfect. So again, the key principle underpinning usecure is automation. So the entire platform, like I said before, can be left to run itself and can be set up and then left to run itself in about 20 minutes or less. The first step in automation comes with the user management side of things. So to import clients, all you would do is click on users. Let's pretend there are no users in here yet. You go click on import users, and then you have the option to import them via Google Workspace or Microsoft 365 integration. This will walk you through a configuration wizard. You can set up daily syncs, a few other settings, sign in with the Microsoft credentials, then set up those settings, of course. And in a few minutes, you're done, and users are being automatically pulled in. And again, the whole idea behind usecure and behind the platform, the portal, is about identifying gaps in your client security awareness and then giving you the tools to minimize those gaps over time. So with our security awareness training, we follow 2 core principles to trigger the highest level of engagement and success. Humans each have their own strengths and weaknesses, right? I said that before. And so we need to understand the nuances of each employee, or otherwise we risk leaving vulnerabilities unchecked, potentially for several weeks or months, right? So principle number 1 is trying to understand each person as a human being. Principle number 2 is we need to remember that the purpose of this is to change behavior. It's not to check a box, but to make sure that employees can operate in a safe manner. The best way to change behavior is through bite-sized continual reinforcement. So the first thing we will do is we will send out a gap analysis questionnaire to each user. The gap analysis will take them about 10 to 15 minutes to complete, and it will cover 12 general security awareness topics. I can show you an example here. So 10 to 15 minutes, go through the questionnaire, and that will then create a spider diagram for each user like this, based on the answers they gave in the questionnaire. So the system will evaluate the individual results and then assign the courses to each of the users in the order that was based on their strengths and weaknesses. So if you look at this user right here, Guilfoyle, he would be getting removable media first as his first course. The second course would then be security at home. The third course would be public Wi-Fi, and so on. This user, Carla, she would be starting with physical security, then go to removable media, and the third one would be phishing, and so on and so forth. All right. Okay, so again, automation is a major underpinning of usecure. And all you need to do to set up this process is to go to auto-enroll and set up the frequency of the courses, and they will automatically then be sent out. So what you would do is go to auto-enroll, toggle this on, and there you have it. You can set the frequency, the time, you hit save, and that triggers this entire process for all of your customers, essentially. On the left, really quickly, you can set email reminders as well as minimum pass scores. Okay, that's how easy it is. Done. Everybody gets the gap analysis. Once they have done that, everybody gets personalized training sent to them. Again, I said it before, courses are available in French, courses are available in English, other languages as well, but I think for this call, those are the most important ones. And then lastly, just the dashboard here. If you go to your particular users, you have a neat little dashboard here that gives you insight into the different users' progression, essentially, if you want to. All right. So with this kind of personalized training approach, our partners have seen real success in building the story, as it's a much more compelling process for training than their clients might have experienced before. Right. So it allows them to tap into a gap with a non-intrusive, automated, and targeted and effective way. So that concludes uLearn. Our next up is our is uPhish, which is our phishing simulation tool, of course. Like I said earlier, it's still the headline concern for customers, right? It's still the most visible and has kind of become a standard expectations for an MSP, that you can run these campaigns for your customers, present that risk to them, and then take steps to minimize that risk as well. So what I'm showing you right now is an overview of templates, or an example of our templates. We have hundreds and hundreds of templates in here that you can choose from. Again, I'm going to focus more so on the automation process, but just so you know, you can clone every template that you want and individualize, create spear phishing campaigns, really well done ones. But just so you see, there's hundreds of French Canadian in here. You can change the language setting to US English and it will pop up. I think it's over 500 templates that are specific, general in terms of bigger companies like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, but then also specific for the US market. All right. Again, automation is key here. So I want to show you how easy it is to set up an automated campaign. All you do is you go to the uPhish, to the configure autophish menu item. And then once it loads, sorry, it's my computer's a little slow today, it seems like. Probably took longer to load than to set it up, but autophish, all you do is you toggle it on, you decide how often you want a campaign to run. So, let's say every 12 weeks, so quarterly. You can set it weekly, monthly, whatever you want to set it here. And you're essentially done. You could hit save and all users are now enrolled in this automated phishing campaign. Now, a neat component too is that you can set up a course for those users that have that have failed. They've given their credentials. You can set up a follow-up training course here for them. Just choose one that, probably something that has to do with phishing. And then again, you hit save and it's all set and automated for your users. A couple of things to highlight on this page. One is, and I alluded to it earlier, message injection, right? 2 clicks, you sign in with your Microsoft or Google credentials, and it connects to the Graph API and drops all phishing campaigns directly into the user's inbox. Super easy. And then there is an option for a phish alert button for Outlook customers. So if you want to, you can toggle it on, create an Outlook phish alert button. You can white label it entirely, name it whatever you want. And you also have the option to set up a forwarding service, and you choose who would be getting those emails, right? So if it's a phishing campaign, a fake phishing email, users would get a thumbs up. They report it, say, "Hey, good job. This was a simulation." If it is a suspicious email, it then would automatically forward it to the recipients you choose to further inspect it. Great. Last but not least, the dashboard. So we measure how many people or who has opened a campaign, visited it, and who was compromised. If you did have the phish alert button, there would also be a report statistic here. And then you see the campaigns that were sent out. If you click on it, you have more granular insights on the recipients and what they've done within this campaign. Alrighty, so when it comes to a security awareness program, again, 99% of clients look for training and phishing as the core requirement, right? With auto-enroll and auto-phish, you can basically plug those requirements in an engaging way in just a few minutes. Now, we'll move on to the modules that help build the program to become more of a comprehensive human risk management solution, giving you different routes to provide extra insight and value. So next up is ubreach, and as mentioned earlier, the dark web is a major source of info for attackers. So personalization has become a key component for attacks, and so many use the dark web to better understand their target before conducting their attack. So what happens here is we synced earlier, we pulled the users in. Immediately now, all of their email addresses are getting scanned against the dark web. And the information you see is you can filter by breaches and you can filter by users. So in this case, we want to look and we see that Tom here was part of a breach in February of this year and his password was leaked, email address and password. So you as the MSP now have the option, if you go and on a regular basis go in and check for breaches. If you spotted this in February, you would have had the option to reach out to Tom and let Tom know, hey man, you've been, this email was part of a breach and they have your password. So if Tom uses the same email, which you shouldn't do obviously, for multiple accounts, including a work account, right? There's a big risk that somebody could now use that password, get into a work account, for example, and then pose as a friendly from inside an organization. So 2FA, another thing, good thing. Anyways, it gives you the option here, right, to be proactive about it. Now, let me just plug in something else. All of this, like we said before, is included in the core usecure product. We do have, for ubreach or for dark web monitoring, we do have a premium dark web monitoring tool available as well. It's called ubreach Pro. You can either upgrade it if you have the core SKU, or you can have it as a standalone premium dark web monitoring tool. It has just more capabilities, bigger databases. It has, a live alerts, scans the entire domain. But if you're interested, follow up with your account manager, and we can set up a call or send you more information about it. Okay, so moving on to uPolicy, very exciting. So in recent years, there's been a huge wave of compliance and auditing for security, right? So there are more and more external eyes than ever looking at what processes a company has and how they're communicating those processes to their staff. A lot of companies struggle to create and share these policies. For example, a password guidelines document or company handbook. So with this compliance drive, it's becoming more and more mandatory that they have these policies in place and can prove that staff members are aware. So uPolicy allows you to provide exactly that, right? View of the dashboard, there's 3 active policies here. Really quickly, we have around 40 templates. It's super easy to create a policy. We have around 40 templates, both in English and French. So, you just go in. If you find a policy that you need, you can make edits here as you see fit. Just type in here and then save it, erase certain paragraphs if need be. That's one way. Another one is you can upload it via PDF. Very easy. If you have a policy in place already, upload a PDF. It can also be, really, it can be anything. It can be employee handbooks. If you have customers with HR departments, that might be a service you could sell them to them too. We have role-based access, so you could give them access, like somebody from HR from one of your customers, and they could use this for internal usage, on their own. All right. So policy created. And then we have a few signature settings here, which will determine if they get the policy resend again automatically in a year or 2 from signature, last term, fixed term, what have you. The way it would look, essentially, so clicking on this one, it is from last signature. So whenever the user has signed that policy, 1 year after they signed it, on that date, they will get that policy sent again. We also have version control. So if something changes, you can have version v1.1 or a whole new version, and that will then get sent out. Again, very good for audits, because you can share that with third-party auditors, all that information, without giving them access to the platform as well. All right, wrapping up here on this. So you can give your clients peace of mind to know that every staff member is being sent a key document automatically and will be asked to re-opt in on a regular basis so they won't get caught cold on an audit. This saves a huge headache from compliance perspective and really helps embed usecure into their company. All right, last but not least, reporting. We talked a lot about reporting earlier. Just really briefly, you have the option to have insights here into performance reports, monthly, quarterly, or annual. Let's take a brief look here. So it's essentially an executive summary, right? With all the different aspects here. You can either send them out and automate that and send it every 3 months to your customer, or you can use them for QBRs, for example, right? It's a great tool that a lot of MSPs love to use to show progress or areas they have to refocus on. Schedule reports, so you can automate those and send them out. And then there's granular insights with a lot of these Excel reports where you have user data and what their progress is with all of that. Alrighty, so basically what I've tried to show here is how easy it is to create a company, import users, and then through autofish, enroll them all into a campaign, enroll them into a personalized training program. Dark web monitoring happens in the background, and then if there's any policies, also how they are being sent out automatically and stay automatic for the future. So Guillaume, if you can take back a screen share. I have one more slide to wrap this all up, and then we'll move on to the Sherweb portion.
Here we are.
Yeah, perfect. So we've seen setting it up, importing users. Now let's go fast forward. We're 2 months in, right? Everybody's doing their courses, getting the phishing campaigns, what have you. 3 more employees get onboarded, right? So you as the MSP, you put them in Entra ID, right? You give them a Microsoft license, put them in Entra ID. Next day, there's a daily sync every 24 hours. These 3 users now will be pulled in to the usecure platform. Their emails will get scanned against the dark web. They will be sent automatically the gap analysis. Once they've taken the gap analysis, completed it, they will be sent their first training course based on their weakest area first. They are going to be part of the ongoing phishing campaign and all phishing campaigns moving forward. If there were policies, they're now getting sent the policies for review and signature, e-signatures, and they will get reminder emails if they did not act on any of that. And they're going to be part of the reporting. So all of this has happened without you having gone into the platform at all, right? Same is true if an employee leaves the company, daily syncs, so next day they will be taken out of the user pool. And basically, to sum it all up, what we want this to be an easy product to slot into your offerings so you can implement this at scale. Security awareness and human risk management is becoming increasingly important, as we know, especially with this wave of compliance that's going on. So usecure is designed as an accessible way for MSPs to plug in that gap. And yeah, with that, back to you, Guillaume.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a key demonstration of the fact that once you have it in place, you're basically hands off as an MSP. Like the client gets sort of a dynamic experience, and they can feel the presence of their security awareness training and human risk management software without you as an MSP having to invest a lot of time in it. And I think that combination is what all MSPs are looking for, is a client that feels supported and sees the effort and everything, without having to invest a bunch of manual labor into it. Like that's really, really key.
Exactly. It can be entirely set it and forget it, or you have the option to go in and create spear phishing campaigns and do compliance trainings on the side and all of that, certainly. But yeah.
I think it's an interesting question for the people that are here. If you want to put it in the chat or in the question box, like, are you more hands-on when it comes to security awareness training, or are you more sort of enticed by the idea of just having to set it and forget it and let it run? We're running out of time, but I want to take a minute to talk about usecure at Sherweb. Clearly, you guys are aware of Sherweb. I don't have to tell you, but so what do you get if you go through us? High quality onboarding and support. So we've been working with usecure. We've had training. We have all the staff on end, like our system engineers, and everybody can talk about the product. You can get access to all of that in your purchase. Also, we've automated everything, so you can. You guys are now familiar with our new vendor enrollment, so you can just show up on our platform, a couple of clicks, and you now have access. And then you can deploy it to all your companies and everything, and then we'll be built accurately for exactly what you use. So it's all usage based, it's all automated. It couldn't be easier. That's our goal at the end of this: to get out of the way, make it as easy as possible for you. Make sure that it rolls all back into your PSA integration, your billing integration, all those things. So that's really the value of working with Sherweb when it comes to usecure. How to get started? Well, it was mentioned, a couple of things were mentioned during the process, but the NFR license is probably a good place to look at. Experience the product for yourself, see if you like it. The worst that's going to happen is your employee will be better with security after going through the training, so why not? And then, yeah, check out our new vendor management feature for enabling those products. Like, that's the easiest way to get into it. Very, very straightforward. Again, we're not here to complicate things. We want to make it as easy as possible for everybody. We're well aware that you can't click on your screen right now to get these things. The idea is you will get the presentation with the recording, and then we've given you like a few key links to all of the information to get access to help you out in your selection of usecure. This is the end of the presentation today. I'm gonna have a look. Like, I've had a look at some of the questions. We've had a usecure expert in the chat answering as we went. You guys, everybody has access to the answers that were shared. They were shared to everybody. So I would invite you to have a look. Like, some of the things that were pointed out that was interesting, because one of the issue that was related by Wade is that other software, including a software that we use at Sherweb internally, interestingly enough, won't name them because that's not necessary, but if anybody were sort of to report tests like phishing tests as phishing, then it would be seen as an interaction with a phishing, and it would be counted as a negative thing. Oh, you interacted with a phishing test, so that's bad. You don't know security. When really it was the other way around, like, it was completely identified and reported. So you can see the answer here from Nikhil, that this is sort of incorporated in the fact that there is a phish reporting button that is provided with usecure, and the use of that obviously ties it together with like smart scoring. So if somebody's using the reporting phish, then they're seen as a positive thing and a less insecure. We're pretty much up against time, so I'm gonna close it here. Some of the questions, if they haven't been answered, we'll come back to you. I see that we've answered most people. If you have further question, or if you want to get started but would like to talk to somebody at Sherweb first, you have our contact information right here. Any question, don't hesitate. If you want a demo, something like that, like your own demo, that's no problem at all. We'll be happy to do that as well. I want to thank you, Matthias. Great presentation. Thank you very much for being here. If you guys, if MSP needs any further help, do know that we'll pull in Matthias to help you out with your own situation. But I mean, the product is so straightforward, like, that's kind of the whole point. I don't expect a lot of complications, really. I think the main thing is to have a plan around human risk management and just to get things started. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you again, Matthias.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The next webinar. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.